Hello and welcome to the Monday, December 9th, 2024 edition of the SANS Internet Storm Center's Stormcast. My name is Johannes Ulrich and I'm recording from Jacksonville, Florida. Let's start today with a blog post by Portswigger. Sakar Fedotkin from Portswigger did write about issues with cookies and how they can possibly be used to bypass web application firewalls. The problem here is that as so often we have slightly different standards, different versions of the cookie standard, for example, plus different implementations in different frameworks, which leads to inconsistent ways how cookies are being interpreted. So, for example, one pretty obvious way to bypass these filters is to have multiple cookie headers, which are typically combined into one cookie object, then as these headers are being passed by your frameworks. Plus, there are various encoding features that can be used with cookies and some simple ambiguities, like, for example, using spaces around the equal sign, which may or may not be acceptable depending, again, on the language that your application is written in. Definitely a must-read for any penetration tester, but also contains some good insight in how to defend against some of these issues. And Mitya Kolczak from ZeroPatch did post a blog post about yet another one of these NTLM leak vulnerabilities. This time it's URL files that are being affected here. They are offering, and Mitya is with ZeroPatch, so they're offering one of their micro patches here as a workaround to address this vulnerability. However, keep in mind, I think there hasn't really been a week lately that we didn't have a new kind of NTLM hash leak. What you really need to control is these outbound SMB connections, because that's how then the leak usually happens. Just hunting sort of one vulnerability here after another is probably not going to do it in the long run. The other issue here is that this vulnerability goes back to Windows 7. So if you do have an older version of Windows, also Windows Server 2008 R2, then there may not really be an official patch from Microsoft coming for this vulnerability. So again, you must control these outbound SMB connections. Another thing that keeps coming up are compromised libraries. The latest one here is actually published in PyPy. It's the Ultralytics library. It's one of those popular AI libraries that, of course, people like to use these days. This particular version does include a crypto miner. Doesn't appear to steal any data, but not sure how well all of this has been analyzed at this point. Initially, this issue was caught because, well, the system the library was installed on all of a sudden had a big CPU spike. But then, of course, if you're doing a lot of AI work and such, you may run a lot of CPU-intense applications, which may hide some of the effect of some of these crypto miners. The issue has been fixed in Ultralytics, and upgrading to the latest version should fix the problem. And in general, it appears with the recent spike in cryptocurrency prices, there's sort of a bit of a resurgence in miners. They, of course, never have really gone away, but there are a couple other stories that I didn't include yet that also deal with miners being installed as an additional payload. And researchers from Positive Labs came forward with a proof of concept and demonstration of an attack that uses SD Express cards to access memory. The problem here is a little bit like what we had with Thunderbolt and similar standards, where SD Express, it looks pretty harmless because usually you just use it to insert SD cards, but the interface itself actually allows direct access to the PCIe bus just like the Thunderbolt port. So instead of inserting a normal memory card, these attacks actually then insert an active device that can be configured to switch the port into PCIe mode and then read random memory. Whether or not you are vulnerable depends on the exact system you're using. They mentioned that an MSI gaming laptop that they tested did implement IOMMU, which restricts memory access, but of course that really depends on a particular manufacturer. Didn't see a complete list of vulnerable and non-vulnerable systems. Well, that's it for today, so thanks for listening and talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.